All right, moving onwards. This is something that I saw maybe 2 days ago now about our great Martian planet, our neighbor right down the street. This is a giant canyon that's a big mofo. And I don't know how to pronounce it, but we'll try it. Val's Marineras. Valley Marineras. I'm gonna call it the Marinara. The Grand Canyon of Mars. This is a monstrosity of a canyon on the Martian surface. Which, if we do have people that land on the surface of Mars, will they go visit? I'd certainly love to go visit. This mosaic of Mars is a compilation of images captured by the Viking Orbiter 1. The center of the scene shows the entire Valles Marineras canyon system, more than 2,000 miles long, 370 miles wide, and 5 miles deep, extending from Noctis Labyrinthius, the arcuate system of Graben to the west, to the chaotic terrain of the east. And then this is really cool. This infographic shows composite orbiter images in the outline of the United States shown to scale. This is pretty damn big. Mars is relative to Earth, it's very small, but the US is pretty damn big. And you can just see right here, that's the canyon right there, just on the Martian surface. And then here's an overlay of the entire United States. The United States doesn't even extend, doesn't even fit. It's wider than the United States, which is pretty crazy to think. The mosaic is composed of 102 Viking orbiter images of Mars. Many huge ancient river channels begin from the chaotic terrain from north-central canyons and run north. The three Tharsis volcanoes, dark red spots, each about 25 kilometers high, are visible to the west south of Val's Marineras is a very ancient terrain covered by many impact craters. You can kind of see here to the left. Right here, that's what they were talking about. And now let's kind of go here and talk about the Valles Marineras. Facts about the Grand Canyon of Mars. This is from space.com. Covering nearly a fifth of the circumference of Mars, the canyon system Valles Marineras reigns as the largest canyon system on the red planet. I know I'm saying it wrong, but it's fun to do so. Dwarfing its earthly counterpart, the Grand Canyon, the Martian feature is one of the largest canyons in the solar system. Characteristics. Valles Marineras is a system of canyons that spans 2,500 miles. At some points, the canyon is 125 miles wide. Regions can reach depths of 6 miles. If the system were located on Earth, it would stretch across the United States from LA to the Atlantic coast. By comparison, the Earth's natural wonder, the Grand Canyon, is only 227 miles long. So it's almost as wide as the Marineras is almost as wide as the Grand Canyon is long. That's pretty crazy to think about. It's over halfway. 18 miles wide, the Grand Canyon, 1 mile deep. So it's 6 times deeper than the Grand Canyon. A windy channel on Venus, Baltus Valleys, extends longer than the Martian system, as do a handful of rift valleys on Earth, which form along fault lines as the crust breaks apart. Valles Marinara stretches west just below the Martian equator. It starts in the west in the Noctis Labyrinthus, a system of maze-like valleys and canyons, and stretches around 20% of the planet to the chaotic terrain near the Christ Planitia Basin. The canyon system contains a number of different features that gives clues to its formation. Collapsed pits created by rushing water eating away at the land, massive floods, and seeping along canyon walls all point to water just or beneath the surface at some point in the Martian history. Cracks in the dust, cliffs and walls, and landslides also exist along the expanse of the Valles Marineras. The vast canyon can also be seen from Earth through a telescope as a dark scarring on the planet's surface. Features known as chasmata, steep depressions that resemble canyons on Earth, dominate the canyon. The canyon begins in the Noctis labyrinthus on the western edge, a region of material thought to have volcanic origins. Two parallel chasmata, loose in Tithonium, stretch eastward and contain lava flows and faults from the Tharsis bulge. Three more am I missing? Did they give a definition to these words? Features known as chasmata, steep depressions that resemble canyons on Earth. Okay. Three more chasmata, Melas, Candor, and Ophir, are connected on the east side of the parallel features. Their floors contain eroded material and volcanic ash. The floor of the Melas chasma contains the deepest point of the canyon system. Coprates chasma lies farther east with well-defined layered deposits. These deposits may have formed from landslides or wind-blown materials, although the region may once have held isolated lakes. This canyon, one of the lowest points in the Valles Marineras, boasts a handful of its own volcanoes, though they are small compared to Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system. The 400-meter high cones were only recently identified. We observed morphological details such as building of solidified lava caused by the injection of more recent lava beneath the hardened crust, as well as characteristic surface patterns identical to lava fields on Earth. Peter Braz from the Institute of Geophysicists of the Czech Academy of Science said in a statement, "This reinforces our assumption that we are looking at magmatic rock volcanism and not liquid mud." In geological terms, the volcano cones are very young, just 200 to 400 million years in age. Co-author Gregory Michael of the Free Universität Berlin in Germany said in a separate statement on the research, "This is surprising given that the bulk of Martian volcanism took place around 3.5 billion years ago. Eos and Ganges are another set of chasmata that contain volcanic or wind-blown deposits that have slowly eroded over time. The Valles Marineris symptom empties into the Cries region, one of the lowest regions on Mars. Any water from the canyon system would have flown into the lowlands, and it may have once contained an ancient lake or ocean." Now let's talk about the formation of this massive canyon. Over the years, scientists have proposed a number of theories about the formation of Valles Marineras. Erosion during a water-rich past and the withdrawal of subsurface magma were both early possibilities. Today, most scientists think that the formation of the Tharsis region may have helped the canyon to form. The Tharsis region contains several large volcanoes that dwarf those found on Earth, including Olympus Mons. Look at this picture right here. The valleys of Coprates Chasma in the east of Valles Marineris. This perspective view was created using stereo image from DLR's high-resolution stereo camera on board the European Space Agency Mars Express spacecraft. Very cool. Very cool. As molten rock pushed through the volcanic region to form the monstrous volcanoes 3.5 billion years ago, the crust heaved upward. The strain cracked the crust, causing large faults and fractures across the planet's surface. Such fractures growing over time birthed the enormous canyon system. The spreading cracks caused the ground to sink and opened an escape for subsurface water. The upward rushing liquid broke down the edges of the fractures, enlarging them and washing away more of the ground while flowing past. Signs of flooding are especially apparent at the eastern end in the Mesas hills known as chaotic terrain. Rushing water poured through channels into the lowlands, carving a series of channels. Scientists do not yet know whether the flooding took place over a short span of time or whether one overwhelming flood was accompanied by several smaller flooding events. At the same time, canyons were slowly widened over smaller scales as seeping groundwater carried rock and sediment away in smaller quantities. Landslides also helped to enlarge the features, sometimes traveling as far as 60 miles. Lava flows and ash falling from the nearby volcanoes may also have played a role in the forming of the intricate feature. Glaciers also probably helped with the carving. Signs of acid rock interactions in Valles Marinara suggest the giant ice rock formations may have helped to carve at least some of the extensive network of channels. Deposit of the mineral jarosite suggests formation by ice rather than puddles of water. Jarosite is usually considered an evaporated mineral. It forms from acidic water that is evaporating. Lead author Selby Cole from Bryn Mawr College in Pennsylvania told Space.com. Getting an evaporated pool of water halfway up a 3-mile high cliff is tricky, and the more we looked into the geologic context surrounding the deposit, the less likely a liquid water origin seemed. The large canyon system was first discovered in 1972 by its namesake NASA's Mariner 9 spacecraft, the first satellite to orbit another planet. Very cool. Let's take another look at this big mother trucker. I mean, there's a nice little image right there of it. I mean, you can just see just in knowing how big it is compared to the United States. I mean, I'm in Pennsylvania right now, and just let's go back to this other one. I'm in Pennsylvania, right? So I can see where I mean, you can even look at boom right up here, right over here, Connecticut, New York, all these things, Florida. Florida is very easy to kind of see because it's kind of sticking out right there, and you can imagine how big Florida is. Now compare that to even the width of this thing. I mean, it's a monstrosity, as I said earlier in the podcast, but it's a beautiful feature of a beautiful planet.